and welcome to another edition of the BFNL Footy Show. Looking ahead to this weekend's game in the BFNL. My name's Yeendy, joined by Tara Murray from the Melton and Mirrabul and Sunbury Macedon Rangers Star Weekly. And of course, this show is thanks to our friends at McDonald's. Thanks for joining us, Tara.
Thanks for having me.
Now we can always love the support of Macca's, and always a good way to just head into a weekend, as we've got some massive games coming up this week. And we'll start with North Ballarat City taking on Sebastopol. It's a battle between the bottom two sides in the competition. Could Sebas, on the back of last week's reasonably good form against Redan, come up with a victory?
They possibly could. You never know. You mentioned that Sebas is reasonably good form, but then I saw North Ballarat City and they were really, really good against Sunbury Lions. It was only sort of the last 15 minutes of the game that they lost that game. So you sort of think both sides had reasonable performances last week against sides that are both in the top six. So it'll be interesting. And I think both sides will really, really want the win. That's the thing this week. Who wants it more? Both sides don't like being down the bottom of the ladder, and they'll both definitely be wanting that win. And
Eureka Stadium will be host to this one as well. Probably not the I reckon it'll be just a nice, close, hard game of footy that both sides, it could very well be the closest margin of the round.
And most definitely. And you look, obviously, with the matches towards the bottom of the table, sometimes they can be very one-sided, but the way these two teams are performing, I think they'll be pretty close. Yeah,
exactly. Neither side have really got blown out of the water this year, despite not being able to get big W's on the board. Another important game in the context of the season, we've got Redan sitting in 5th position with 5 wins this season. They take on Darley, who have only dropped the one game, and they bounced back with a win last week after going down to Lake Windaree, and Redan got the important win that they needed against Sebastopol on the weekend.
Both sides got the wins on the weekend, but probably not as convincing as what they probably should have been. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how they bounce back. I know the Devils, their last two matches, they did have a bye in the middle. They lost to Lake Windaree, and then they had a below average second half against Ballarat. So it's for the Devils, they want to get back to what they were doing early in the season.
And how important is this game for Redan, just to, if they're going to be a challenger this year, as we spoke about earlier on in the week, they need to start beating some quality sides. They're a better side than what their results have suggested, but they probably need to really take down a big contender, and this is their opportunity at home.
Exactly, and with 4th place Sunbury Lions having a bye as well, Sunbury already gets that 4 points, so that keeps them still ahead of Redan. If they want to keep in touch with Sunbury, they need to be winning these matches, let alone being in touch with those top 3 sides. And
there's a couple of other games, should Redan lose, they could be sort of sitting in shaky territory on the fringe of the 6. As we look at one of those games that will have an impact on that, we've got the battle between the 8th and 7th side in the competition, Melton and East Point. East Point flying after a gutsy draw against Bacchus Smash. And they've got 3 wins on the board, but they've also got 2 draws, so that effectively adds up to another win. This is going to be an important game for them too.
It was.
For both of them.
Yeah, Melton obviously had the week off, and Melton started to find a bit of form as well. They had a really, really tough start to the season, and now they're sort of playing those sides around them on the ladder, and they've started to get a few wins. And this could be quite easily the closest match of the round as well. So there is quite a few really good matches this weekend, and this is another one. Both sides, a win could quite easily move them into the top 6.
Well, exactly. The percentage that they've got with another game with should the Lakers topple Melton South, a win from either of these two sides with this superior percentage will put them into the top 6, which I don't think too many would have predicted a couple of weeks ago.
No, and that's what both sides are starting to build nicely, and it's sort of showing that there's not a clear top 6 at this point. You've probably got 8 teams that are looking for those 6 spots.
Exactly. It should be an interesting game. Your tip for this one?
I'm going to go Melton. I cover Melton, so I will stick with the team I cover and I know a bit more about. But yeah, and I know they're determined this period of the season to get quite a few wins on the board to challenge for a final spot. They just missed out last year, and they're another side like Bacchus Marsh last year. They're trying to do this year, break that drought of not playing finals.
East Point's form in recent weeks has probably been a bit stronger, probably one of the strongest out of all the teams in the competition, just for development. So I'm going to jump on their bandwagon. We've got Bacchus Marsh sitting in 3rd position with 6 wins, 1 win and a draw. They take on Ballarat.
It is. These are 2 sides that have really different weeks last week. You've got Ballarat that almost stole a win against Darley. Then you've got Bacchus Marsh, who couldn't hold off East Point and had a draw there. So I'm expecting the Cobras to bounce back there. They would have been disappointed with last week not getting the full 4 points. So I'm expecting them to really hit their straps and get a good win.
And Ballarat will have a little bit of confidence as well, knowing that they can run with some of the best sides in the comp.
Most definitely, and you've got obviously Bacchus Marsh did lose to Darley, and that sort of thing. So obviously a side up there, but I think Cobras will be too strong.
And Ballarat on week 2 of their road trip down to this down to the Melton regions. We look ahead to the final game. It is Lake Windaree versus Melton South, and this has huge ramifications on how this season unfolds. Not just for the ladder positions, but particularly for Melton South, because should they lose, I think plenty of tipsters who backed them to win the flag at the start of the season, South will slip out of the top 6.
It is. It's getting to the point of a must-win for Melton South. Obviously, they started the season really well, and they had those couple of matches before the season got underway, but they've struggled more recently, and they've gone back in the pack, and at the moment, they're not among those standout 3 sides. I think, obviously, you've got your top 3 sides that are clearly your top 3 sides, but Melton South's back in the pack, and you've sort of got from Sunbury, who is a little bit above those sides, all the way down to Melton in 8th. Any result that Melton South doesn't get could be dangerous for them.
Exactly, and looking at the wins that South have had this year, they've beaten Sunbury. Sunbury Lions are in the top 6, and the other 3 wins they've secured against teams in the bottom half. So that's I think that if memory serves me correct on that one there. So that's they need to beat a quality side, and if they want to make finals, these are the games that they need to be winning. And Lake Windaree, fresh off a bye, they're I think they're going to be doing all they can to sort of get back to the glory where they beat Darley a few weeks back, and they're coming into this game off a loss to Bacchus Marsh where they faded out in the last quarter. So there's probably a little bit of concerns about their ability to maybe finish off games. Just if you can draw comparisons there.
It is, but I think Lake Windaree will be keen to get a win here as well. They want to keep in touch with those. Obviously, they're sitting second, equal with Darley, only behind on percentage and 2 points ahead of Bacchus Marsh. So for them, it's about getting wins. They want to get a top 2 spot and even that top of the ladder position.
I love seeing Lucas Anderson in recent weeks as well. Since his return from his knee injury, he's bobbed up and kicked quite a few goals right across most games. And which way do you sort of see the ladder sort of shaping up? There's going to be a bit more of a look at what happens in the battle between 8th to 5th. It's a good bottleneck there. At the end, we're going to be looking back at the end of this round. How do you see it taking place?
Well, I'm expecting Lake Windaree to get the win, so I think you're either going to have, well, I've tipped Melton, so I think Melton might be in the 6 by the end of the week, but I think there will be some shaking up there with towards the bottom. I think the top 3 will still stay the same and sort of what order they're in, but I think the bottom 3 will change around.
Another thing to worry about Melton South as well is that they do have that round 13 game in hand where they've secured the win there, so the other teams have got extra games ahead of them. So that's a very valuable loss for them in the context of the season as well, because the other teams have the opportunity to catch up, and they don't have that bye where they're going to get the 4 points.
It is, but the one thing with that win, Melton South did get that win back on Good Friday. So yes, they don't get to play round 13, which in the context might put them behind, but they did get that win, so they are already 4 points ahead from that match.
Correct. So it's an interesting, a few interesting things we can sort of look at. I'm hoping Melton South they sort of pick up, and I'm looking forward to getting along to watch this one. And for those who love their radio, love the work that 97.9 FM do, and I'll be no doubt listening while I'm over there at C.E. Brown Reserve. But they are broadcasting the big game between North Ballarat City and Sebas to find out if Sebas can secure their first win of season 2017, or North Ballarat City can get their first win since Anzac Day. Tara, thanks so much for joining us, and who knows, we might catch up with you later on in the year.
Thanks for having me.